All right, up here at the top of Metalopolis is our Zerg player. Has been playing extremely well this season, but made some poor decisions last game.
Leenock.
Or maybe not poor decisions, but decisions that ended up turning out poor. I'll say that. But here he is. And here is his Terran opponent. Has been a little bit sloppy getting here.
MarineKing Prime win.
But polishing off Leenock in game 1.
Bill?
And they're spawning kind of across the map. So that's going to be a little bit better for Leenock. Of course, this map has been limited so that you cannot spawn in close ground positions. And I say that, that's kind of, might be obvious for those of you that have been watching for a while. France watches GSL. Yeah, go France. MK Prem must win to advance and go his Code second place.
Well, that has been the trend
great
for MarineKing. It would be so tragic, though, if he got second place in Code. It would be like the ultimate, basically the epitome of his StarCraft 2 career.
Yeah.
If that happened.
And then he gets second place in his up and down group.
Yeah, well, then he would still get into Code, so that would be good.
Yeah. Leenock's going to scout with a drone this time. Does not want to fall for any shenaniganry this time. Wise move to make sure he knows what's going on. Doesn't want to depend on his overlords and miss a barracks in the middle of the map. Oh, wow. Takes out an SCV with that drone.
Yeah, that's not something you see every day, but you see it sometimes.
Yep.
It's like when you see that nice car when you're driving home from work. You're like, oh, that was a nice car I saw. You don't see that every day, but sometimes you see it. It's like that one Corvette that you saw, and you tell your friends about. I saw this really nice Corvette when I was driving home. They're like, why are you telling me this? It makes me want a Corvette. And you just tell them anyways. That's what it's like.
That is exactly what it's like. And it's also like stealing the gas of MarineKing Prime with that injured drone. He says, no Banshees for you. He may go Banshees, actually. You can go Banshees off one gas.
Well, you can. You just can't get float very quickly. But essentially what Leenock is trying to achieve here is so you can keep that drone alive, so you can try to go and scout more with it in a minute. But if there are two Marines there, it's very difficult, because even if you cancel, the Marines are on top of the drone's not going to get away.
And he actually, and this is something that not everyone does, some people will just attack move against the extractor, and so the Marines will attack from a distance, and so that means when the drone cancels, they're not within range to kill the drone. Whereas if they're standing right next to it, they can actually sometimes kill the drone pretty fast.
Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, most likely the drone will die, but he's just delaying the gas as much as possible. Yeah. Now, meanwhile, MarineKing, what he's hiding is that he's going to be doing, by the looks of it, a blue flame opener here as he expands. And drone does go down without seeing anything.
The drone tried to escape, but it couldn't because of the Marine's position. So nicely done. And you're right, it's going to start off the Hellion, and he's almost got enough for gas for the blue flame upgrade. Probably going to see the Infernal Pre-Igniter very quickly here.
That Infernal Pre-Igniter.
Infernal.
So there it goes. So basically what MarineKing is going to be doing is this blue flame Hellion expand build that we've seen Slayer's Terrans do. It's kind of like the new trend. It's not kind of like the new trend, it is the new trend,
It is the new trend.
It's a good build, and it's becoming a standard.
It's very similar to the new trend in its identicalness to the new trend. Leenock is responding in the new trend of responding to this, which is putting a couple spines down, one near the ramp and one next to the back of your minerals, so you can stop the Hellions from harassing as well.
Very true.
Probably going to try and put an Evo chamber down next to the spine crawler to go ahead and block anything from trying to run by.
Yeah. That's just a tip for newer Zergs. Always do what Leenock has done with the spines. One at the front, one near the mineral line. Position your queens.
It's like the best tip ever. All right, if you're a new Zerg, play exactly like Leenock.
Well,
easy. You'll win.
Do what Leenock has done here in the most simple way, and block your ramp with your queens and Evo chamber and the spines in a place where the Hellions can't attack the evolution chamber, can't attack your queens and then run away. No, see how he's positioned that. It's a good tip.
No, you're right. It's a good tip. I just thought it was funny. You're like, yeah, you know what's a good thing to do? Play like one of the top 5 Zergs in the world.
Well, that's a good tip too, man. Like, if you can do that, man, you'll be fine.
Yeah, all you have to do is be one of the best
players in the world. Well, you should be playing like Leenock, man. That's what you should. I said play like Leenock. I didn't say you had to be exactly like Leenock.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I would tell a basketball player to play like Michael Jordan, and they would be like, well, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I can do that, Wolf. Like, well, you got to do it if you want to be good.
Yeah.
Don't play like the old Michael Jordan, though, not the new one.
Old Michael Jordan.
All right, here we go. These Hellions.
Baseball.
Yeah. These Hellions aren't going to be able to do a whole lot because of what we were just talking about. Now, he's going to make a macro hatchery. This is actually Leenock's style. He really loves to make macro hatcheries. This Overlord isn't... It's going to be able to see the factory, the reactors, and the barracks. Not too...
Shocking news for Leenock.
Yeah.
There's going to be Hellions. And, yeah, I like the positioning of that macro hatch. Also, just keeping things a little bit farther away from his drones and such.
It's just... It's so smart to make a macro hatchery before taking a third base when your opponent's being aggressive like MarineKing does. And Leenock is such a patient player. And we saw last game, some of his patience... just barely was able to keep that alive. For those of you guys who don't know, I actually find this out every day that people know you can cancel creep tumors. You can cancel creep tumors.
I actually didn't know that until a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so if your creep tumor's under attack, you can cancel it. Yeah, after once it's done, you can't cancel it. But then you could remake it. I'm not saying like, oh, hold that thought.
Hellions diving in. They need to be a little bit careful. If they do get trapped against the spine crawler by some speedlings,
that would be bad.
That would be bad. They would all die. They would only kill a few Zerglings. Stim, and this is interesting. So MarineKing is now switching over. He's getting some bio. I mean, it makes sense. Getting Medivacs, getting his Stim upgrade. And it looks like he might actually push out with those couple Medivacs for a little bit of an attack as well.
Yeah, this is a nice little timing attack. You know what's interesting about this is we saw Boxer do this. This is even more the Slayer type of style. It's not the one Medivac push where you drop. I mean, he's probably going to do that a little bit, but it's not that specific timing attack. But what's interesting is he's making another reactor on his factory. He's not making siege tanks. He's doing that siege tankless style that we've seen.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's very difficult to pull this off, though. No, he's going to do a little bit of harassment here using the Medivac to drop the Marines, some of the Hellions onto the high ground. He's going to bounce back and forth, but if Leenock has his Queen's position abilities, I mean, already got Banelings, he should be okay.
Here's the thing, if anyone can pull off the intensive multitasking micro of this style, it is MarineKing. He basically invented not using tanks against, well, that was kind of way long ago, but you know, he didn't use tanks against Banelings. He would just micro so well. And here comes those Hellions. He needs to be careful. The Queens are there as well. Marines going in the front. He needs to split them. A nice split on the front. Actually, not a nice split at all. He loses all of his Marines on the low ground and almost all of his Hellions on the high ground. MarineKing's micro failing him completely, and the Roaches will be able to mop up with virtually no damage done.
Well, his APM was intense there. I mean, you guys were watching on the preview screen the Marine splitting. I was watching the Hellions. And you were like, I'm like watching him split his Hellions and like run away from Banelings, and you're saying, nice Marine split. I'm like, well, how is he doing that? It's actually impossible.
No, yeah, I was watching his Marines.
Yeah.
He was concentrating so much on the Hellions, he actually didn't micro his Marines, basically.
Okay, so I was like, how can he do that? Because he was microing the Hellions.
He's MarineKing, so he actually did a little bit of micro with his Marines, but not enough to...
it's just impossible.
He didn't split them enough.
Yeah, it's basically just impossible to micro the Hellions against Banelings and Marines at the same time. So I think it was a mistake to attack in with the Marines at the front like that. Could have just lifted up the Hellions and the Medivacs, used the Marines on the low ground. I think that would have been a better choice.
If he'd gone for even just one large attack and spread everything out, that might have been a little bit better, because then he would have had only one front to try and micro. Right,
well, this is going to be really scary. Leenock's getting extremely aggressive here with Baneling speed and Roaches. It's a nice little counterattack here, and these Roaches are pretty much cleaning through these Marines.
Yeah.
Even though there are Medivacs there, the Marine count is just not quite high enough yet.
The Banelings really softened everything up. SCV's coming off the line to try and block so these Marines can do more damage. Hellions can get some splash as well. It's not complete damage, but it's enough that he's going to push Leenock back momentarily.
Yeah, but look at this reinforcing run here. This is looking really bad. MarineKing's going to maybe get surrounded here. The Zerglings got scared of that one Blue Flame Hellion.
He's going to wait for a few more Banes to come in, because then if he tries to block with SCVs, he loses a bunch of SCVs.
Exactly. And Leenock.
And he's going to have to hide in his main. He's going to need to go behind those depots, I think.
Yeah, this is not going to work out. Oh, no. Looking bad for MarineKing here. As Zerglings stream up the main, he cannot raise the depots. And Roaches is doing so much damage, pushing up. The Hellions doing a great amount of damage against those Zerglings, but will it matter? I don't think so. Speedlings cleaning up the SCVs with the natural, as these Roaches destroy everything MarineKing has.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a tie ball game. MarineKing, GG's. Leenock has taken game 2. And hey man, Banelings are pretty good.
Well, I like that little timing attack by Leenock. He was planning it from the start, and then he was like, well, I'm just going to go for it. His attack didn't do that much damage. Now he has very little units, and he was actually ahead about 30 supply after MarineKing's attack failed, and he made all those Roaches, and he just thought, well, even though we're at cross positions, the last thing he'll expect is a huge attack from me. He already had his third base up. He made that third hatchery. He wasn't really mining from it, but it wasn't like an all-in. It was just a nice little counterattack.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, Leenock's, I would say Leenock's normal style would have been after that to take a third and try and macro up more and win a longer game and just harass. So you're right. I don't think MarineKing was expecting like 20 roaches to attack instead, because he was pushing across. MarineKing's like, all right, let's go for another attack. Whoa, what's this?
Yeah.
That's a bunch of roaches and some banelings. And again, MarineKing's micro kind of failing him a little bit. Took a lot of hits from those banelings, and instead of taking like 2 Marines per baneling, took like 5 or 6 Marines per baneling, and just was too soft for the, for the roaches.
Yeah, when you have a roach count that is about 2-to-1 to Marines, even if you have medevacs, it's kind of bad. It wasn't quite 2-to-1, but it was becoming that way very slowly with the banelings that softened up the Marines, and then suddenly it's like MarineKing is like, maybe I can, no, I can't hold, and he has to go back, and then the roaches are killing a lot of SCVs.
Now, what do you think would have happened if MarineKing had just run everything back up into his base, lifted his depots, and lifted his natural, and tried to
Well, the problem is
defend for a little while? I don't know what he could have done from there, but Leenock
he was just so behind. Basically, he was so behind from that attack that even if Leenock just had to turn around, he would lose mining at the natural, and Leenock already has a third base up. It wasn't saturated yet, but he made a third hatchery.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
He didn't make a lot. Yeah, he didn't make. So basically, he would just go, okay, make a round of drones instead of that second reinforcing attack, and then use the drones, and then MarineKing would have been in a ton of trouble. We probably would have made a Spire and then just controlled the game from there.
Would have been a longer game.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't realize Leenock had his third up already. I was thinking like, okay, well, 2 command center mules against 2 base Zerg, you can try and drop or something. I don't know.
And keep in mind, with the macro hatchery, he had so much production to do that little timing attack. That's why all those speedlings were able to come in.
A ton of production with that. So Leenock is going to tie it up at 1 apiece. MarineKing, man, he's been looking a little bit sloppy this season, and a little bit of sloppiness there cost him the game.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he probably should have done something similar to what we were talking about with the Slayers team, is do that drop. The Hellions on the high ground, then you have the Marines on the low ground, so you've got kind of the Hellions up here running around. I'm like doing this little diagram for you guys. And the Marines on the low ground, so the Hellions run back. The Zerlings run to chase them. They do a little bit of damage, they get picked up. And the Marines do a ton of damage to the Lings. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, though. We'll see if MarineKing can take a lead here, or will Leenock pull ahead. Let's find out after the break.